our value in this part of the world is not isolated in Singapore. Okay, the value that Singapore has as a port, as a finance hub, is built upon our neighbors. If the Indonesian company never bank here, if the Malaysian company never bank here, the Bruneian never put the oil here, we have no value. Okay? Welcome to the alternative budget debate. Yes, this is our second time doing this show. 2023 we did this thing. So we want to continue because we are quite incentivized in the whole Singapore budget. Where is Singapore moving and all that jazz, right? So my name is Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut, and I'm joined with...
Budget babe covering the Singapore budget.
Oh, give her the authority. Wow.
No, authority is a pun. It's a pun.
Okay, yes.
Rakesh here from the TFC team.
And Anthony from the TFC team as well.
Yeah. We talk about this quite a few times, right? Like onward Singapore. Forward
Forward.
Singapore. Singapore je. You see, just now they disturb me lah, right? So forward Singapore and all the way now lah, right? So we'll continue the discussion on the budget to see kind of where this is going, right? So before we begin on the more serious and important things, any side trope you've experienced in this budget that you follow, you thought quite funny?
No, I'm just sad I don't get money.
Hey, you don't.
I think we are all quite sad that I don't get money. Do I?
Life SG.
We get CDC
You
vouchers.
get CDC.
Okay.
Good enough, eh? You
Really?
don't need money, what?
I do.
It's not for you.
Everyone wants more.
this budget
Everybody
not
needs
for
money.
you.
But the budget's not for me.
Yeah, I specifically want to shout out to the scriptwriter lah, right? A lot of our home, this is home. Any fun things you saw in the budget?
Fun
Yeah.
I need more sian because
Oh shit.
yeah,
Okay,
as the sandwich generation, I didn't see a lot of things that would really benefit me. And I see some things being taken away.
Okay. So I can tell everybody is very eager to share their discontent about the budget. But yeah, so maybe we start we break down this process into 3 segments. Okay, so we talk about the heavy, boring things first. Okay, which is but heavy but important. Although it's a bit
Very important.
it's important. Okay, very important. Talk about the economy first. Okay, so and then after that we'll talk a little bit about the whole family, social side of things. Then at the end, any miscellaneous whatever extra thing that didn't make into these 2 categories will
Like
go all the way
sports
to
or arts.
Hey.
They did mention sports and arts.
Yes. Got money on it.
The allocation important.
Okay,
Tells
okay,
you
okay.
what they're looking at.
So by the way, I think how we want to take this forward today is we don't just want to tell you there's a $600 voucher here, $200 voucher there.
Read our listicles.
It's like just read our listicles, go to our socials, you get all the numbers, right? And to be fair, those things are all over the internet by now, right?
Yeah.
So you already know what is given, but what we want to do is to read the tea leaves, right? So today we'll try to read into the things that may not be directly discussed or directly said, but actually from some of the policy looks like there are some things here and there, and kind of have that expanded discussion. We don't seek to agree on everything, but welcome your discussion. So please put whatever that you don't agree with us in the comment section, okay? So then we'll take it from there. If you're angry enough, we'll do another episode at the round after the COS speech. Okay, so we'll see. But anyone wants to take a jab, what is interesting to you under the realm of the economy?
Yeah, I think for me, the government has one playbook and we are still following it, right? We are still looking at financial services and high-end services, including legal, thankfully.
Guys,
I still got a job. I still have a job.
Yes.
Very important. We are looking at advanced manufacturing, so we are still bringing all those people in. But we recognize that we are not big enough. We don't have enough power. We don't have enough land. We might not even have enough capital. So we are not fighting with US and Japan to bring in proper chip manufacturers, right? We want to succeed in the niche. We want to do more R&D. We want to have what they call centers of excellence. So we want to incentivize all these people in and bring people and talent in. So so in a sense, we are going to be where people and talent congregate. We are not going to be where too much of the factories is built, unless we think there's a real advantage there. So I think that was interesting. But then again, that's the playbook that we have run for the past 10, 20 years, right? We started with all the hubs that we have been doing. We got the aerospace hub, we got the biotech hub. Sure, there's a playbook, there's a play. I think a question to me is this time going to work better than what has worked the last few times?
So you think it actually worked?
It did not. Right? So is this going to work better? We are doing the same thing again and again, right? We incentivize people in, we bring in money. Has that really created a lot of good jobs?
Yeah, we
I
have
don't
one
know.
Rolls-Royce factory. somewhere.
Very important, okay?
It's
Seletar.
Yes.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a broader benefit than that, right? It's not Rolls-Royce coming in, it's that we have local suppliers supplying them as well. We built the entire ecosystem with SMEs and all of that, rather than just Rolls-Royce and having Rolls-Royce create jobs. Right. So maybe it is that. I don't know, right? But I guess the broader question is, it hasn't really worked that well. How are we going to make sure that it works well this time around? We say we want to do AI, we say we want to do fintech. How is it going to work better rather than just having fintech with, you know? And I think that's the question.
I get it. Yeah. I'm still open to work with you. Just say.
Just don't invite Anthony.
Just don't invite me.
Anthony aside for fintech. Okay. Yes.
Me-
But I agree with you. It's the same playbook, right?
Yeah.
The playbook has not changed. It's just the thematic has changed.
Yes.
For me, okay, I look at it a little differently in the sense where I think it has worked a little bit over the last 5 to 10 years. If I just take his point
Because you
before I
work
add
for
mine.
a tech company.
No, I'm okay, fine. Yes, I do. But that's my point, second point on AI, which I'll come to later. But I think what they're trying to do is more so than employment or employment in that industry. Because in the end, what I feel over the last 5 to 10 years, the one that has grown the most is supply chain. If they have a Rolls-Royce factory, if they have I think they opened the Hyundai fully automated car.
That's my new car.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I
The
bought an Ioniq 5.
There
Made
you
in
go.
Singapore, guys.
Exactly.
Supporting local industry.
Exactly, right? So we have that. What it really means is, what it really needs is, it needs the transport to the port. The port then gets used to funnel it to anywhere else in the world. So I think in that manner, they're trying to stimulate,
Yeah.
right? In
No,
terms
correct,
of supply
right.
chain
So
and
I think
logistics.
it's a broader thing. It's not about bringing investment. It's not 50 years ago where we bring a factory in to create factory jobs.
Yes,
Right?
correct.
It's we want advanced manufacturing, we want high-tech manufacturing. Not a lot of jobs, but a bit more capital, a bit more know-how that we export. And as you say, there's a broader economic and social effect too. Because once things come in, they need to get used, and you know, hotels become more expensive and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. In other words, just to push, that means to your right, the efficacy of that policy is not as important anymore. As long as it continues down this path,
I
we
think
accumulate capital.
it's hard to say whether it works because we don't know what the target actually is, right? Is it just to create jobs, which was I think the target in the 60s or 70s? Is it to grow GDP and then the government redistributes that benefit for the growth of everybody through vouchers, or what else, right? So I think that is really the question before we can say whether it's good or bad. But I think we can observe that it is happening and it brings us benefits, right?
And I think for me, what I took from the budget is I think there is a shift, right? So before, as you said, right, in the 70s, 80s even, manufacturing came in to get jobs, right? You go and make the chips, you go and do this, you go and do that. But with fully automated factories, so on and so forth, these people need to be reallocated somewhere else. Otherwise, we'll go into an unemployment issues, so on and so forth. And therefore, I think that's what the government is trying to address. I think they see a shift in that sector. And it's structural unemployment, and you can't solve that over the next 3 years. It takes a longer time. And I think the growth of these new industries like AI, although honestly that's a buzzword. So let's go with machine language. Let's go with maybe whatever peripheries you need with AI needs to be developed or skilled into Singapore. And I don't think we have the necessary expertise and talents to do that. And I really do see that as the next 10 years. Maybe because I'm in tech, right? And it's how do we make ourselves relevant in this industry, in this location, because that's where it's going to be. I feel that's where the money flow, that's where the growth is going to be over the next 20 years.
So there's a few
in
things
Asia.
happening, right? On one hand, the government is also acknowledging that we don't have these talents and they want to import these talents, these foreigners in. But yeah, at the same time, the locals are not happy because foreigners stealing our jobs is the rioting call, right? So what the government also is doing is trying to protect the locals by, number one, shielding the wages, forcing companies to pay their locals a little higher. And at the same time, they raise the minimum wage, right? If you're hiring foreigners, instead of just paying 1.4.
But that's a different
you need
scale
I-
of jobs, right?
No, it also, because you could have locals in lower level jobs in an entire company where you have the foreigners taking the highest paid and the highest skilled jobs. Right? You still need like the
As it is
drivers
now.
and everyone else. But now what they're saying is you pay your lower locals a higher wage as well. So they're protecting that while at the same time putting a lot of money into skills future and all this upgrading. For the rest to, if you're not good enough, you also need to upgrade yourself. Go and get the skills needed while you learn from those who are coming in. I will pay and subsidize your education and learning. So that was the big message that I was seeing out of this whole budget delivery as well.
So you think the local qualifying salary is the new minimum wage.
Cannot use minimum wage, right? Singapore doesn't like that. The government
He
say
was
don't have
setting you
minimum
he was setting a
wage.
trap for you, right?
I recognize it.
confirm this one. I know Reggie.
But use the government term. Don't get me in trouble.
Okay. Oh my, sabo je, sabo. Yeah. But yeah. So tell me a little bit more. What is your thought around the local qualifying salary?
I think it's good, right? I mean, on one hand,
No, because the increase is quite significant. Yeah, like the full-time employment increase is about 20%. 2005 local qualifying salary to about 3,000. Right, a month, and then the part-time is $9 an hour to $10.50.
Yeah.
Right, so it's like 20% and 15%. Right, it's quite a significant increase in the local qualifying salary. Right,
but you could argue that it's
pseudo minimum
necessary.
wage.
Pseudo minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's necessary, right? Because they're also acknowledging the higher cost of living, higher GST. And at the same time, I also work in a sector where I literally see the foreigners who are being brought in. I can see their salaries.
So
And
how
what
much more
I
are they
see
paid? Yeah.
is that their jump in salaries are a lot faster and higher than the locals. So you get all these news reports saying, oh, the median salary of Singaporeans and this is the household income and all the climbs, right? But at my job, I'm seeing why the foreigner, like just a few years ago, come in at 10K and is now at 16 plus K. My jump was certainly not a 60% in this same time. And this is very common among the foreigners who are coming in. It's also the government pushing companies to make sure when you hire foreigners, you really must make sure they're very talented. And then you have to pay more money for really talented people as well, right? So they're forcing them to look into really proper talents and not just foreigner bring in to fill quota. If not, I really want the proper talents who can help our economy teach and pass skills to the rest. But at the same time, because you're paying the foreigners so much, the locals are also unhappy. So I need to also protect that. And that's the message I see from them raising the local wage.
Okay, so then the real crux of the question is, if let's say all this change in S-Pass, E-Pass previously and all this local qualifying salary, all these are wage intervention in the market, right? So you intervene already, and you on your industry, you are seeing that more and more of these foreigners that come in are actually being paid top dollar, right? Is that gap in the middle where it's like the second tier talent from Singapore, right? Or your Singapore core that can fill some of these other jobs that are not at the top tier. Are they feeling it? Are we feeling it? And then at the same time, are we seeing that kind of wage progress also, right? I think that's the real crux of the question, right? That means is the middle income seeing that growth, right?
Yeah, but the answer not found in this year's budget.
So I mean,
It's a good question,
you brought
right?
out your insights, right? So I want to ask, like, do you see that kind of growth?
It's not being covered. So the answer is not that clear, isn't it? It's like, on one hand, the companies will argue, but these second-tier Singaporeans are not good enough yet. So okay lor, then the government sponsor, send you for subsidized education. You go and upskill while you learn from your colleagues. And then at the same time, they also don't want to pay so high. Right? So that's why we have this stupid practice in Singapore where, what is your last paycheck? Oh, it's our company policy, you have to declare it. And they tag it there instead of market wage, market rates, right?
Yeah.
So that needs time to change. It's not something that the government can solve by throwing money, but at least they are throwing money at okay, I help you to upgrade. And then you go and have these negotiations with a company and make sure you go from second grade talent to first grade talent.
Okay. By the way, just one fun fact, right? And yeah, I'm one of those people that read reports. So MOM published a report, I think about a month ago, that the median salary for degree holders, residents in Singapore is about 8,600 or 8,000 plus. About north of 8,000. I can't remember, was it 8,162 or 8,612? You know,
Producer will put the correct number here.
So the number is about 8,000. Median wage. That means the most run-of-the-mill average degree holder, which you assume as a working professional at CBD, right? Then maybe stay in Bishan, got 2 kids, send boy to Cat High, that type of Singapore.
Cat High is got median.
Okay. You know what I mean. You all know what I mean, okay? So those guys are making that type of wage level at this point in time. But interestingly, sidetrack, over the past 5 years, that group has experienced real wage depreciation of 0.8% year on year, right? So that means your
cost of living has gone up.
Yes, your lived experience of like, why does it feel tighter, but you cannot pinpoint, is true.
Yeah. And this is after this cohort has also developed in their careers, gone through promotions and all that, and their real wage is still down.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's why they give money, right? Vouchers. Come
But, I
CDC,
mean-
everybody also have. But
If
is
you
it
are
really
making
enough?
100K a year, that $600 isn't really offsetting your
It's just to make you happy.
yeah. Isn't
So people
offsetting
will
your
stop
decrease in real
complaining.
wage, right?
I mean, okay, to be fair, I'm not very interested in the one-off vouchers. Like, I
Yeah.
think one-off vouchers are not structural, right? They don't really give any serious change in your progress or you know your future, right? I'm more interested in some of the other things like, let's say, SkillsFuture as an expansion, right? Because for me, when I looked at it, right, it does not gel with the 2 to 3% GDP growth targets, right? Because fundamentally, before the budget is out, you already hear a few of the other major economies around the world is experiencing recession, so they all shrunk, right? So maybe in Singapore we will continue to experience growth because we see capital inflow, right, over the past few years, right? And then with capital inflow and our big finance sector, we can derive some
That's
sort
why
of
they put more money in the finance sector
yeah,
also.
right. So exactly. So maybe that sector is gonna hard carry everyone else for a while, right? For these few years, okay. But okay, it's a sectorial thing, right? So even if that sectorial one hand cover everybody, right, it still looks like a lot of people are gonna lose their jobs, okay? And that is what the policy is showing for me, right? I'm reading into the tea leaves, because Singapore government already say, right, they don't want a welfare state, they don't want people to be lazy. Like they finally nudge into the unemployment insurance thing, you know. Sorry,
No,
unemployment
different.
benefit,
Benefits.
right?
Yes,
Transitional
Transitionary
finance support for the
Involuntary.
for the involuntarily
Involuntary.
no involuntarily unemployed.
Yes.
Okay, everyone. Right? So yes, 随便, okay, but you
Must
get
emphasize, because
Okay.
welfare state you can voluntarily
Okay,
opt to be unemployed and benefit.
So
but
my
it's
wife quit.
involuntary.
She's not getting
She's
the
not-
benefit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so cause she quit, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, even if she quit to take care of the kids,
Yes,
cannot.
No, cannot.
Yeah, so you must get retrenched,
Yes.
right? So you must sit there until you're engineered to be out of the game.
No, but
right?
if you get fired, you might not be.
Okay,
Right? Because
okay.
retrenchment is a
Yeah,
very
it's
specific
different.
term.
That is true.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So that is a different discussion.
Yes.
Important but different discussion. But for me, right, the tea leaves say that if this is the mantra that the current Singapore government is gonna continue to stick by, why would they, suddenly expand so much more on like reskilling and upskilling? It's a lot of money, like all your 40-year-old and above. That means all your supervisor that you today sit next to, right, or your senior exec or your bosses, right, they can all suddenly go back to the poly, right? So they and this is a big expansion. So by extension, what I'm thinking is that a lot of sectors will be shrinking, right, in the next 2 years, and this will become a reservoir.
But
Right,
at the same
so-
time, new sectors are gonna grow, and that's why we have the
No,
upskilling
but the
benefit.
thing is, we don't know which sector is going to grow. We don't know whether new sectors will grow, right? The government already said that they're uncertain about
so
the
I think
economic
what is
future.
interesting is that is we don't have the answers now, but what would be good to see is what sectors actually qualify for your usage of the 4,000, because they did say
Yeah, it is also
that it's
selected.
very
Yes.
specific.
There's some sort
Yes.
of a
Yeah,
yes.
so the government's probably going to do some forecasting,
They're
crystal
forecast,
ball.
yes, they're gonna
I
crystal
think this
So
will
we know
grow.
it's AI, it's some sort of financial services,
Yeah.
Biotech
tech,
also, right?
it's tech, it's
Yeah.
fintech.
Early
Biotech is
childhood
gone already.
development, some of those things
Yeah.
like the care industry, they've been talking about it for a while, right? So yes, you're right on that front, but it does not mean that the market will definitely land, right? It's just
Yep.
kind of like hypothesizing. You say aga is like that, which every government will have to do anyway, right?
Yeah.
You have to aga guess, make the smartest guess, right? And then you go. But what I'm seeing from this budget is that I think for a lot of the middle class professionals that are not in the fastest growing and leading industries, right, you better be prepared. Like the market signs don't look good, and whatever that is out there where the government is asking you to go and study, right, why not just take it and run, right? I think that's something important.
But at the same time, they're also giving a reassurance message,
Mm,
right? That if you are there and you're involuntary retrenched, we'll help you.
Yeah.
But you need to get back on your own feet.
Yeah. So I'm not disputing that point, right? But I'm questioning, like, is the message to me in my head is not clean. It's not fully there, right? Like when you say, our growth target is 2-3% for the next decade, which is well and good. But then you expand a very big kind of reskilling policy. You grew it laterally, in a very serious fashion. What does it show, right? So the indication is, from the government's standpoint, is okay, this is our target, we want to do it. Maybe we can hit it, but it looks like many other sectors will kena, right? So for everybody that is in the many other sector, maybe you want to 绷紧一点 and prepare for it.
But in a sense, I mean, the GDP target is also a function of fiscal policy,
Yeah.
right? So this is also a matter of pumping money into the economy.
Fair. Yeah, that was also
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
So, and if there is a bit of economic tightening, it won't be a recession because we're still growing. So if there's a bit of tightening and people get retrenched and they get to call on all these schemes, then at least the government is making sure they're still contributing to GDP in that sense. From a GDP perspective, right? Not salary, not anything, just purely from GDP, they are still, in a sense, contributing back to the economy. Of course, it makes their life easier with that 3K and all that to hopefully support them as they go through the reskilling journey. But I think that's about it. And to me, I think the whole point of this is if you are, let's say, in your 40s, early 50s, your career is going nowhere anymore. You're just sitting in a bank in the middle office doing the same thing 9 to 6.
Hey, we got a lot of middle office bank sitting
No,
friends.
correct. This is the time the government wants you to shift. And maybe to Don's point as well, this is a shifting from, we know that your career is not going anywhere. Why don't you try something else? And I will help you make the transition. Because transitioning is painful, right? Upskilling is painful. Yeah, I want to do an MBA. I look at the opportunity cost. I can't ever do it. I'll give up so much just to do the MBA for don't know what benefit, right? So this is the government going, don't worry, we will take a bit of that risk off you. You will have to take a bit of a pay cut, but hey, there might be something better for you in the future, right? So why don't we go ahead, take that risk? I think the question to me is, fine, I think that's all well and good. Is doing a poly diploma or something, ITE cert, the way they'll reskill into a new career. Right? Because that is what it is. Your selected education institutions, as far as they've announced it, poly, ITE, arts institutions. Right? So NAFA counts. I can go and learn drawing. LaSalle, I can go and learn drawing and 3D art and animation, right? But is that where we are trying to push all these mid-career people into? So it's not only the industry that want to push them in, it's also what do they get out of it in the end? I think that's a question.
No, but I think fundamentally, when the government opens up only to this type of okay, I'm not saying it's bad, to a certain type of institutions like the polytechnics, ITs, and on NAFA, LaSalle, essentially it is targeting mechanics, right? That means because they are targeting to say that there's a certain group of mid-career professionals that will need this and move forward. For the others that are riding high in the banks or in the tech companies, right? You make your 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 a month, right? You want to reskill some more, right? It's like to you, not that you don't want to reskill. Firstly, you are in a high functioning industry. Your company is constantly investing in you, right? Every other week, I see an email reply says, sorry, on a course. Which money always on course, right? But every other week, the email auto reply on course, right? So your companies are already investing in you. You're staying relevant. Your wage growth is pegged to inflation numbers, or maybe you even surpass them, right? Then you are not the target audience for this policy at this point in time. Does it make sense?
Yeah. So then in that sense, let's say you manage to find a chill job and then you kind of just want to lay back.
I want a chill job. Back. Pay me well.
Just pay me that 5K a month. Then now, cannot lah. I need to go and reskill and do something, right? So in a sense, maybe this is what Lawrence Wong means when he says, we all need to enhance productivity. All of you need to go and work harder. You cannot just sit there and quiet quit. And of course, AI can help you do that, but it's not AI making your jobs easier so you have more time to bring your parents to the doctor. It's AI making you work the same number of hours so they can produce more.
I actually didn't read so much into that. It was more of like Singaporeans are going to get less competitive. We're getting a lot of competition from like our foreign neighbors with cheaper labor. So in order not to lose our companies and the foreign imports to these cheaper labor countries, I need to make my local population so high in quality by sending them for all this reskilling.
The narrative has shifted on that, like Lawrence specifically said that we have spent a lot of effort over the decades to accumulate our positions to where we are today, and it's not so easy to compete with us directly, which is a narrative tilt all the way, because for a long time is if you don't eat other people's lunch, other people will eat your lunch, work damn hard, but which I was quite puzzled for a while. It's as if it is so easy to replicate, and if it was so easy to replicate Singapore, then why would I want to be in Singapore, right? So now he finally take a tilt, okay? So he and his government of the day has taken a tilt on this narrative to say that, okay, Singapore, right, it's not so easy to compete one. We got some standard, right? We've gotten to some level. We are where we are, right? So that is the main narrative now. And then from
Because we already lost all the lower skill jobs to these countries, ma.
yeah,
All the
but-
call centers are outsourced. You call
Yeah.
Singtel to complain, it's not a Singaporean talking to you anymore.
But that is a narrative that I challenge because my thought process is the countries around us are not our competitors, right? They are our opportunity. It's a very different view
Now
on
the
this.
competitor is AI.
Yeah.
That's why they ask us to go for reskilling, because AI will make a lot of these jobs redundant. So we have more
Exactly.
competition than just our neighbors.
No, okay.
No,
I mean,
don't. Our value in this part of the world is not isolated in Singapore. Okay, the value that Singapore has as a port, as a finance hub, is built upon our neighbors. If the Indonesian company never bank here, if the Malaysian company never bank here, the Bruneian never put the oil here, we have no value. Okay. So this is important, right? Singaporeans need to know our value in this whole ecosystem is tied to the whole area. Our neighbors are not our competitors, right? We do our high value engineering here. Where is the low value engineering? All from Malaysia coming in. Where is the fabrication coming in? All drive through Tuas truck, right? So a lot of our neighbors are actually synergistic with us. We need to run as a block. Okay, so this is something that I think more Singaporeans need to think a little bit differently, right? Our neighbors, they are not competing with us. Our value is extracted. We are extracting some value on them. They are also piggybacking on what we have, right? So we are synergistic. But AI is a problem.
for me, the thing with the wage and the skills future and all of that is very different to the conversation you're having. Because I feel that we shouldn't be competing with the telephone guys that's going to pick up the phone.
Yeah, that one is the old example.
It's not, but it's not that's not our target market, right? To say the least. What is our target market are the writers, the content creators. It's all of these guys in marketing or in so on. Those are the guys that could be replaced by ChatGPT, for the lack of a term, right? I know, like my sister or people in marketing, when they're told to write something, they will pay for ChatGPT and it'll actually generate a bit better. Now, that's a small step from there to someone that doesn't know anything about marketing but knows prompt engineering and can say, I will replace your marketer, right? So now what is the marketing guy going to do? For me, that is the part that we need to look at. And I think that's where this is coming from. I don't think they know where it's going to go. I don't think they know which jobs are going to be lost, but they know that some jobs in certain industries are going to have to shift.
Yes.
And that is the reason they've come up with this in advance, because this is done over X number of years, that we need to start to pivot to see a problem a few years ahead. But we've got to start now so that we don't have a problem in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's where this
Or
is
we have
coming
less of a
Yeah,
problem.
and to be fair, I don't disagree with the policy. Yeah, I think it's a right policy
Yes,
direction,
I
right?
think it's
And
the
I
right
also
policy.
think the potential unemployment benefit. Okay, I don't know what's the long name. The name is very long. Okay, but I'll just use unemployment benefit. Is correct because we are experiencing underemployment even in the MOM report, and MOM offsite thing, right? MOM report also show that. The amount of employers in Singapore went from 4.1% to 3.1%. So we lost essentially 25% of bosses in Singapore, right? So that's a different discussion. But on that note, right? So I actually agree with the policy direction, right? But I just want to, kind of expand it a little bit rather than just talking about the facts, right? To kind of think of like what are the next few steps? Like why is this today? Why is this happening, right? And then for audience to kind of like pick up from there. Okay, so I think at the end, it's all a crystal ball situation at this point in time, right? We, like what the government say, we're not very clear about where it's going, and the policy ties up with their position, right? Essentially not clear, so we don't overinvest in any industry, although some industries are more invested than others, right?
The more obvious industries.
The more obvious ones.
The ones that are almost going to be winners.
Yeah. 5
We
billion
will
going to the power infrastructure, some of these other things, right? So those are more specific. You can follow on Instagram. We got more specific things and our website to go into the specific different funds and what they're doing, but that's that. Okay, so that's for the economy. If you have any questions for us, put it in the comment section. We will get back to you. Okay, now let us move on to the more social side of things. Right? Okay, it's not totally social. Quite a lot of heavy stuff also in the social discussions. But before that, just a side plug. We're having an event on the 23rd of March. Okay, we're having an event on the 23rd of March. CFC Financial Wellness Festival. Please join us. We'll be there, to discuss retirement, right? Die with zero as a concept, and also managing your finances as a couple. Okay.
Yeah, please come. Say hi.
yes. Must plug. No choice. Okay. So that is that.
And by now, our early bird price.
Yes, link in
Dirt
bio,
cheap.
put in the comment section. Okay, so now let us talk a little bit about the more social side of things, right? And I think, of course, the big field is like CPF, so all these things that are big changes, which we will talk about. Okay, so anybody wants to take a jab at it? Like what are some of the things that you observe that you think is like, oh, this is a significant change. We need to expand a little bit. Read the tea leaves.
I mean, I wish I could
correct.
say there was more for parents and sandwich generations, but don't have.
More politely, we are not the focus of this budget.
Yes.
Okay. I think it is quite clear in terms of where they want to spend and how they want to spend it. It really is focused on people who are a bit more senior, right?
And lower income.
Yeah, it's not necessary that you're retired. You could be, early 50s, undergoing a lot of change and all that. So fine lah. This budget is for you, right? I mean, you ignore that hot air about dying of CPF shielding, whatever. There is a lot of benefits, and it is really geared towards coming and hoping that you get to live a good life, I think.
I think the redistribution is quite obvious also.
Yeah.
That really stood out for the social part.
I thought you were very unhappy about the CPF shielding taken away.
No, I'm just...
She cannot double dip anymore.
It's okay because I am
Suddenly on screen,
many...
everybody's so polite, right?
I'm multiple decades away from it.
Fair.
So it's only a matter of time
It's not-
that
yeah.
I would not be able to
Fair,
apply it. So
fair,
it's okay.
fair.
No, I mean, how is to know what CPF will be like when we are 55, right?
That's right.
Or if 55 changes to
Yeah,
58.
and I'm still young. I'm 21.
Or
So it's
75.
okay.
But so that's why to me CPF as a retirement tool fine, but it's a bit of a struggle to reconcile, right? Like the government wants, and maybe this is the point, the government wants you to say use CPF, they'll give you basic retirement. That's fine. But then it could change on a whim next year or next year when I'm 30 years away from retirement. As a matter of principle, how can I use that as the basis of my planning? Right? How can I plan for something that fundamentally changes? And the answer is you can't lah. So if you want to retire even at 55 or 65, should CPF be your primary tool for saving for retirement? I think that is a bit of an inconsistent message from the government there.
Okay, so I get this idea, right?
Yep.
Because to be fair, it's one of those situations where if the system don't evolve, it becomes more problematic.
Yes.
But as the system evolve, then it reduces the trust based on consistency, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not consistent, so how can I trust you on your original arrangement?
Yeah.
Right. So there's that, but that gets quite complicated, right?
No,
But,
and I think it's a trade-off, So, but from a very personal and selfish perspective, then this also means that, you know what, if I want to accumulate, 500, 600 million, 2 million, 3 million, then CPF is a part of it, but it's not the core, right? And it cannot be the core. I cannot have 4 million into CPF at 65 because what if the next day it changed and then it becomes 68? My money, how? If we want to plan for ourselves, then there has to be some cognizance that these things will change. These things have changed historically, and these things will change in future, right? Then maybe that just means that CPF is not your one pot of gold. Diversify. Diversify not just in investments, but where you put your money.
It's our first pot of gold lah. For not
Only if you
gold,
win
but
the
your
BTO
first
lottery.
pot for your retirement.
Only
But I
if you win a
think
BTO
a
lottery.
lot of what they are showing now is that using CPF for your retirement and all the surpluses that they're putting in is for those who are really going to retire
Yeah.
soon.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not something that we will
No,
benefit
correct.
from.
So you should start your CPF planning when you're 50. Right? You do your tax planning, you do your tax reduction, you have spare cash, put your 8K in, tax reduction, fine. Great. But you should not be counting on it being a core of your plan 30 years later.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what will happen.
Really?
Whereas kind of with equity markets, you kind of know what will happen, right? Or you can project conservatively. And in any case, it's your money you can CPF is also your money, very clear. But
You have liquidity.
You have liquidity of you have control over it. Whereas this one, because it's risk-free and you get all the other benefits, you don't necessarily have as much control.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we have to be clear that CPF Life is a pure play annuity.
Yes.
Yes.
program,
So
and it's the
CPF
only
Life,
one in the market today.
correct. So
right?
CPF
Yeah.
is great. I love CPF
Yeah.
Life. If I were 50, I would be planning
With
to
CPF
use
Life
my
in mind,
SA,
yes.
right? With CPF Life in mind.
Mm.
I am 20 years away from 55 where I start qualifying. How do I plan for it? I can't.
I think
And-
one great thing that came out from the CPF changes is the fact that they're raising the match retirement sum the dollar for dollar matching from 600 to 2,000. I
Mm.
thought that was big.
Mm.
Yeah, and it really incentivizes, and we were just talking about it in our B rules. About like I was ranting about how, but why is my tax benefit for topping up this taken away? Why don't I get tax benefit anymore just because my parents gonna get more dollar to dollar matching? But you guys raised a very good point, which is that then it's also a message. We're reading the implicit message that, well, then your parents should be topping up this 2,000 and not relying on the kid for it. So the kid still tops up and get their tax benefit under the voluntary scheme, but the parents uses the 1-for-1 matching to top up their own and get the money from the government. And I thought that was a very strong message that really stood out, and it makes a lot of difference, right? It's not small money.
No, and I mean, at the end of the day, you think about it as a package, right? Of you and your parents. Last time it used to be you top up 600, government gives you 600, you get relief on that 600. Now you top up 2,000, government gives you 2,000,
You get zero.
and you get zero relief. But your entire pot as a family unit,
has
It's
increased.
bigger,
Exactly.
Yeah.
right? The government is giving more money because last time they used 600 plus a bit of tax rebate. Now it's purely 2,000.
Exactly.
Mm.
And
Right.
to triple that number in such a short time since this was launched,
Yeah.
I think that says a lot.
It says a lot about the trust of the CPF Life system.
Yes.
All right. To be fair, I really think it's one of the best product out there in the market today.
I think
Right?
it's great.
Yeah. It's there's no other pure play annuity product. But I get what you're saying. It's like it's hard for you to project a 30-year or 20-year runway down. Right. But if today you are 50, 55, well, let's
Different.
just
Yes.
let's just full
I
on
need to
explore
look
this
at
thing,
So
right?
if I'm 50 and I was relying on CPF SA shielding and then I got taken away, I'll be upset lah. Right? But I think
Actually, why would you be upset? SA shielding. Why are people so unhappy? Reddit is going crazy now. Yeah.
I mean, okay, we're a bit more objective here, right?
Yeah.
So we know.
What? Since when? Since when?
Okay, let me rephrase that. We are younger here.
Okay.
So we know that we are not as emotionally affected. And we can see that it is actually a policy that in due time it's okay to take away because of how it works and how the government has put in something else despite taking that away. So we can see that it all balances out, right? But I think honestly the emotional rant on Reddit is
It's
just
quite
the
crazy.
fact that I finally found a loophole to the Singapore government policy and what the heck, I'm going to apply it and now you take it away? I think it's just an emotional response.
people don't like change lah.
Yeah, like I find a loophole I finally find a way to cheat the system.
I spent so much effort reading blogs, to
I know,
figure this
right?
out.
Exactly, and this only got popularized in social media in recent years.
Yeah.
And then just as I'm about to hit the age, you take it away.
Sian, right?
If you are unhappy, I think you should write in the comments.
But you must disclaim and say the age range first. Because if you're in your 30s and you're unhappy, then it doesn't really make sense.
Because there'll be more changes coming.
Yeah.
Fair,
Yep.
fair. But do you all support? Okay, so enough for the SA rant. Later CPF will text me.
They really texted me.
CPF will text me. 你们为什么一直 rant about the SA? Okay, but
It's a good change. I like
yeah,
it.
it's okay.
We never rant, we
never
balance
rant,
out. It's actually good.
No, but what is your thought on the raising of the ERS, enhanced
The enhanced retirement
retirement sum, right? Which is from 3x of basic retirement sum to 4x, right? What is your thought on that?
In essence, it's balancing out the SA shielding, right? Because it used to be that you had RA 4%. And this is why, hearing everything, I just didn't get the anger over
Because
SA
we are not
shielding.
in our 50s.
No, but also because, it used to be that you had RA 4%, you had SA 4%, and then you had your OA that kind of dissipated. Then now you're closing your SA, all goes into RA, which you get CPF Life, and you can put more into RA now. So that's why I thought it all balances out.
Exactly.
Why are people unhappy? And I think that so if looking at it as a package, I think it makes perfect sense. And ERS will have to increase, and hopefully as the government gains more confidence in CPF Life as an annuity, then ERS will increase further and further, and then this can actually be a plank for retirement,
Yeah.
right? Because if you think about it, I want stable cash flow, and we're talking about this. I want stable cash flow during my retirement phase. What do I want? I want steady, confirm one toe, risk free. Who else gives you that? Your Singapore government bond, your interest rate fluctuates up and down, right? You take some price risk. Your property rental sometimes can be jalat. Your equities, dividend bonds, REITs even more jalat, right? you get exposed to risk all throughout the spectrum. This is the one where you take on only Singapore government risk.
Yep.
And why not, right? I think it should be, and we should really look at, hopefully, if it's really for retirement, we expand ERS more and more so that people put more and more into it.
Yeah. And I did I used a calculator. I'm not sure after this whole thing will the calculator change lah. Okay, I don't think so. But if you input the 462,000, which is a new cap, right?
Yes.
In the CPF Life calculator today, and you put yourself as 55 years old. Okay, so 55 years old, 462,000, you max out lah, right? Then you, by 65, if you start taking by 65 on the escalating plan, which is a 2% increase every year plan, I think it starts about 2,800. Right, a month, right? So that's pretty good, right?
I mean, that's like 36K. It's 8% of
it's
your
pretty good.
initial.
From the MIS, from MIS report, right, minimum income standards, right, which we did with Yo Yen, right? I think it's about 1,005 or 1,003, 1,004, 1,000 plus lah, right? It's in the low thousands for a retiree, right? But they don't factor in HDB mortgage lah, right? Essentially, they factor based on a 2-room rental. So even if you add on the other mortgages, you net you still got quite a lot higher than the basic income standards.
And I mean, these sort of things, just like the way the government runs it, is to just be the baseline, right? So no matter how rich you are, you would still put a little bit in there. Because
that's why the jostle is with what is in the baseline, right? And people want more in the baseline, or at least a camp wants more in the baseline. Yeah, that's my jostle. I want more in the baseline. What is considered a dignified retirement, right? Okay,
true, but you've just negated that point by saying about your baseline.
No, so I think that's where
the baseline.
Yeah, that's where the government is coming from, right? And that's where he's disagreeing. It's not that CPF should not be a plank. It's that CPF is a plank, but he thinks because your minimum retirement or good retirement needs more money, so your CPF should be able to cater for that, and therefore your ERS and all that should also increase to make sure that you get a good retirement as he sees it.
Yeah, so at the end, it's about where is this line, right? And that's why all the scholars, the jostle is in the line, right? And yeah, so that is that. Okay, cool. Any other thing about CPF? I think CPF is primarily this view lah, this few changes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the preschools.
CPF,
right? I think it was quite nice that, for the longest time, we parents have been complaining about the cost of preschools, especially that chunk before your child enters mainstream primary school onwards. It's just so expensive to fund. And I think it's good that Lawrence Wong is finally hearing it. I mean, I was on the budget a few years ago telling him on the live show, you need to give us cheaper preschools and everything. So I appreciate that they're really listening to all these voices. It's a repeated echo for help for many, many years, and now they're committing to reducing these fees, which will go a long way. The only thing I'm sad about is that it's also really nice that they are paying more attention to the special needs children. Yeah, because I think as a whole, when the individual has grown up with a disability, there are systems in place for that individual to go and get help at the older age, right? But the young ones, they are not capable of getting help. It all falls on their parents. And previously, these parents were not getting a lot of help or recognition for these special needs kids. To have that being recognized in the budget, although what I was questioning was, why no number? Everything else got number. X million here, X billion here, but this part no number.
So your special education fees in your special ed schools are going to be capped at $90. I think the problem, at least from what I've heard, is not so much that the fees are expensive, it's that there isn't enough space. You cannot get in, right?
The waiting list.
And I think that was kind of the point that I was hoping that, and they might get into it, right? Because the budget is not the be all and all, that they are increasing access, they are increasing space. And then that will help everybody. Because if you are special needs or you are borderline special needs and you don't get into a special needs school, you stay in mainstream primary school and it's
a big struggle.
And it's a big struggle for everybody, right? For the teachers, for your classmates, for you, for your parents, for the school admin, so this is a problem that
it's true.
Can
it's true.
solve a lot of people.
No, and my just personal sharing. Right? My little cousin has a little bit of. I think I can't remember what is it, but it's on the spectrum on some level, right? And struggling in mainstream school, but went to the special needs school and now like thriving like no tomorrow. Everyone is happy. He's doing well. Families, everyone's like, wow, now it's like wow. Suddenly there's a change in tone. So that is that, right? So I do agree there's some validity in that. So then what about property, right? So property is the part that is very interesting because I mean we hear on the streets a lot of older generation very like this property tax and I think 2 years ago the government made big shifts on wealth tax through the property, right? Because they want to tax wealth, but they have decided to go on this trajectory of taxing it through property, which is very clearly indicated who owns it, blah blah blah, right? So it's very easy to track. So what is your take on some of these new not say new some of these property tax shifts?
I think there's two things, right? So coming back to the beginning, partially there's been a lot of anger because a lot of people's property tax literally double or triple, especially especially if you stay private or it's you own a private that you don't stay in, so it's your investment property. And of course, if your investment property costs literally triples overnight, your investment returns suck and then you have a problem lah. So I get why people are unhappy, but I think from the government's perspective, and this was in the budget speech as well, this is what they think of very clearly as a wealth tax, right? And and then they take the money, we redistribute. That's why we have more money. Actually, if you look at the budget, we have more money we redistribute this year than last year or the previous years. Because our tax collections from GST, from property tax, from COE, all have increased. Right? And then we get a bit back through our vouchers, I guess. Which Reggie's unhappy about.
Okay. I will still spend the $200 in my Live SG.
I think you have like 350, bro. Don't worry.
I got 350. Okay, thank you.
I don't have, you can give me.
I don't even know how much I have.
Too rich.
So much money.
So much money.
Yeah, please
but no, so I get that unhappiness. But at the end of the day, I think here the government is right. You are paying more tax because the value of your asset has increased. And if you are unhappy, you don't want to pay this tax. Very easy solution. Sell your property.
Yeah, put in CPF Life.
Put in CPF Life.
That's the idea, right? The lease buyback.
Sorry. Your investment property is more than 500k.
Okay,
you put in CPF Life and find something else to do because you have too much money.
Yes.
Right?
You can join some.
And I think this again is a bit of a package, even though they didn't link it as such. We will make it easier for you to downgrade. Because a problem is, let's say I own a landed 4 mil, 5 mil, right? I want to sell because I can't afford the property tax. Sure. I want to buy a HDB. I have a 15-month waiting period that I need to go and appeal and hope that somebody lets me waive and I can buy HDB. If not, I have to buy a condo. Right? And in between, as I wait and all that, I have to, and then if I buy a new place, I have to pay ABSD. So now they give you more ABSD remission, right? So it extends to people above 50 as well. If you want to downgrade, you buy your second property within 6 months of the first, they'll return you ABSD. Right, so that's good. And if you die for these 2 years, you cannot pay your property tax because it's too high and you can't afford 1k a month even though you stay in landed. I give you a tax facility.
Very Swan Xiao, that tonality.
No, I mean that's the reality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, right now I look at my income. I mean, top 5-10%, I can never buy a landed, but other people have from previous generations. Even though income percentile wise, not even dollar amount, they're not making that much, right? So I'm a bit bitter lah. I am, right? But I know
off the record we talk a lot about this.
Yes, I know my lot in life, right?
Yeah.
So
different time period lah, bro. Okay? Yes.
I blame my parents lah.
Wow.
Okay, that's a different discussion.
Different discussion. They gave me what they could, right? So and I think that is the reality of the situation, right? You have a lot of assets. You want to retire. There is no right that you have to say, I have to stay in this place forever. You cannot afford what you have, you leave. I buy a branded bag, I cannot afford it, I have to sell it. Same for a house. You got emotional attachment, all that, sure, that's fine. But I'm a bit sorry for you. But if we are looking at redistributing and helping people in need, I'm sorry, the person owning a landed property that cannot afford property tax is quite low down on the list of priorities for me.
Yeah. Okay. By extension, right, the AV bands should not be changing every other year, right?
I think this is a tacit acknowledgement by the government that
the property market has a new floor. That's my thought process.
No, and they were aiming at impacting a certain number of people. They impacted more than they thought they would.
Yeah.
So they would need to direct a bit, bring it back, right?
Yeah. No, but to me, the bans will not always be changing. You cannot keep changing every other year.
But
right?
they said they'll change this year, and if it doesn't work, they'll change again next year.
Yeah.
So your property tax relief will happen lah.
Okay, fair. But for me, I see as an implicit acceptance that there's a new floor.
Yeah,
in the
our
private
rents will be
property
this
market,
high.
right? This will be like that.
Our property value will be this high.
Rents will be this high. Cost of living is gonna stay in this new thing. You're not gonna see a recession, a receding of prices. Blah blah blah.
But I mean, if there's a recession, there will have to be, right? So it's a bit of a balance.
So that's interesting. Then let's talk a little bit about what is not in the budget that you would hope that it was in the budget.
Working mothers.
Yes. Working mothers are a lot of things.
That's why I still very bitter. I wrote that open letter on my blog, and then it was in a magazine as well, and no change happened. Okay, and I'm very bitter about it because it is. I mean, I'm bitter, and the interesting thing is I'm actually not impacted, but I'm bitter on behalf behalf of all the other mothers I know who are impacted by it, because it was a very big part of it. And with higher cost of living, we want to pay less taxes. And having children that allows us to pay less taxes is a very good strategy. You are recognizing our national service to the Singapore country, but now they're taking it away, right? So I'm a bit disappointed that they didn't reverse on that policy or give a bit more. But it was nice that they helped a little bit more for in the past. To get ECDA subsidies for preschool, you really needed to work and get a certain threshold of salary, right? And income and all that proofs. And it's nice that they have now catered for those who don't meet that. So you can get a little bit more support from ECDA on that end.
All mothers.
All mothers.
So
All
instead of
mothers.
your working ECDA being for working mom subsidies, it's all mother
All
subsidies
mothers
if
now.
you are in a low income family.
Yes. Yes.
So
But I'm still bitter about the tax.
it's okay. She can be bitter because everybody has a different position in
Yeah.
society,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So what about you guys? Any other miscellaneous things that you found interesting or anything
Or
that's
wish
not inside?
it was in the budget,
Yeah,
but
that you
government
thought
never
was that
give.
you was like, yeah, 为什么没有, right?
I think for me it's around the fertility rate.
There's zero
Yes.
and
it's so-
discussion
For
around
me,
fertility.
for me, that's so weird because they've been
To me, that
harping
is
on
a
it.
priority.
Yeah,
I
they've
think
been
because
harping
they
on it for
think
years.
This is the dragon year. So people naturally have more babies. So
Come
no
on
need to
lah.
talk about it.
How
Next
old
year,
are
then
we
we talk about
already?
it.
Ah.
Who are the people giving birth? They're not the 60-year-old.
But for me, that's quite a shocker because I expected
Lonely.
something. I expected something from the budget with regards to that.
Have. Last
So-
month, Lee Hsien Loong said, this is a dragon year, have kids. You won't regret it. A very powerful statement. You won't regret it.
Who help me take care?
You think your $10,000 settle enough?
No, like
Wow,
honestly,
wait.
whatever tax relief you give me, right? Even if I pay
No.
zero income tax, right? Not enough. You know?
No, okay, but to be fair, I was surprised as well. But I am not surprised that there isn't. Yeah, I thought there would be, but I'm not surprised that there wasn't, because last year they had a very big change to the baby bonus. $3,000 more is quite a big shift, right? So I didn't
But
expect
maybe that's
them
why
to give
it's
anything
not
more.
it's not really a budget thing. It's more, well, we will continue upgrading and improving and giving more. And I don't necessarily need to announce it in a budget speech.
Could be.
Right? Or maybe all the spending is allocated for, so this time they cannot say
Yeah.
anymore.
No,
If
but
they had
it's more
another
of
2
the-
billion, they would happily spend it on you, but they don't.
What I see is that
They've tried to do that over the last few years, not working. Now they
Not
moved to
working.
Majula.
No, and maybe they realize
Be more
that
productive.
whatever, and I think maybe that there's an increasing recognition that for all developed economies, there is very little you can do to go back to replacement rate.
Yep.
You know, you can be Scandinavia, you are still not there.
Yeah.
I actually
No,
had a
but-
different read about this, because in the last few budgets, in the last few years, what our government has been doing is just to throw more money. But throwing money and announcing more surplus did not help with the fertility rate. So I think what they're showing in this year's budget is, okay, I thought throwing money, I don't say already. Since y'all don't value, that doesn't cause the change that I want. Okay, what they are showing instead is we're hearing you guys on the other parts. When you complain about preschool and childcare fees, we're going to put that into this year's budget. You complain that you're a single mom or you're a non-working mom and you don't get that subsidy, I will include you in this year's budget. You complain that you're a parent with special needs child and you don't get this kind of support. So even if I give you $3,000 more on the baby bonus, you don't care. Okay, I hear you. I'm going to do more for this. I actually read that as an implicit recognition that I'm hearing you. Okay, it's not just money, it's the other things. And that was what I was happy to see.
So work-life balance, man.
I
Work-life balance, I think. More productive. Hello. Hey.
I thought the implicit acceptance is that people are just not going to give birth, right?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
not let us give singles finally get a HDB
Oh,
flat?
no. We still have a structural housing shortage.
Hey, they also had
Yeah.
that voucher, although it's not very clear how it works, where if you have a family and you're buying a house, but your house keys cannot collect because they're still building, right? They're giving that 1 year voucher to rent, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
That
not.
also
Yeah.
helps this
It's
group.
a very
mah.
small group, only 4,000
It does, but
applicants.
what it shows is the recognition that we hear your challenges, that it's not just money that is causing you to think twice about having children. It's the non-monetary aspects of it, and we're doing what we can to help.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
but
singles
as-
are
as with-
continuously taxed, right?
Yes.
Like continue to be taxed in this system.
That's why they say, you can get married and have kids, then
Okay,
you get the
okay,
benefit.
Or go
Okay.
marry and say you have kids,
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you have
so-
a bit more.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But I think as with all, government policies, there are always gates, right? And conditions that you have to jump, and you have to spend time to figure out whether you fit in. Then, our help is never unconditional in a way. And I think that is how we view help, or that is how the government views help,
Mm.
right? We'll help you, sure, but implicit in that is you have to go help yourself.
Mm.
Right, like even the new comlink plus thing, which I thought was really interesting, and I actually quite liked it, is that we will give you money, we will give you more to your ECDA and all that, but you have to make sure your kid goes to school.
Mm.
Right, we increase your attendance, you increase your attendance rate, you hit that KPI, we give you money, right? Which I think is nice in the sense that uplifting people is not about giving them cash to let them live day to day, right? It's about having them improve. It's about skills future and upskilling and all of that, and and maybe part of it is making sure they go to preschool instead of just staying home watching Baby Shark, right? And and I think that is maybe where they are going towards with their longer term help schemes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You come up with a plan, you come up with things with milestones for you to hit that you'll get dispersed more cash, and that will help you improve yourself in future.
Nice. Okay, so I think that's a great
Uplifting note.
Yeah, uplifting note to end it, because in the middle a lot of things. But yes, this is not a definitive, government say what we are essentially trying to read beyond what the budget has, essentially showed us, right? So if you have any other comments, put in the comment
Or if
section.
you disagree with how we have read and interpreted some of these disbursement and you think no, the government direction is something else, please let us know in the comments below. It might be another talking point next time.
Yes. And we will be having a few other episodes revolving some of the major themes that you think like, you never talk enough. Say, wait, it's coming, okay? We have a few other episodes, over the course of the next 2 weeks, and we will continue to stay on top of it to keep you updated. Meanwhile, if you have any other things you want to look out for in the budget, you can follow our socials, go to our website, and also come for the 23rd March event, okay? TFC Financial Wellness Festival.
We'll
Thank you.
see you
Yes,
there.
my show, I can keep plugging one, okay?
So you can have your own proper budget and not just follow Singapore government.
Hey.
Yes. So we'll see you at the event. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.